it doesn't really matter where you're coming from. You might be coming through from the rural areas, you're coming into the big cities. And what if the big cities shock you? And what if you learn from the big cities and you take what you have learned from the big cities and you take it back again into the rural areas? In this episode here, I am meeting two amazing women. And these two ladies, what they have literally done is they have taken through their learnings that they have done in the corporate world and in everything else that they've done. They have now taken this back into the communities, and they've got a Stokvel that they are running. Their Stokvel is a different Stokvel. It's not just about putting in money so that we can get a return. It is bigger than that. It is solving one of the country's biggest problems, solving one of the world's biggest problems. And these two ladies are in the forefront of leading this. Well, ladies and gentlemen, join me so that we can hear their story. Boom, boom, how's it going? Welcome to another M5 Successful Friends. And today I am hanging out with the ladies from Masedi, Stokvel. But let's jump in to talk about who they are and why do they have Masedi as a Stokvel? Well, good morning, good afternoon, how's it going? And welcome to M5 Successful Friends. I have been hanging out and I know Mashokonolo for a bit. I know what you do, but I also hear that there's someone else in the background that is called Masheko. And maybe let's start off with Masheko first, seeing that I don't really know her that much. And Masheko, welcome. And who's Masheko?
Hi, Taurai. Thank you for having me. And I'm very excited to be here today. My name is Leshego rather than Mashego, and it means lucky in Sepedi. So Leshego is a lady born in Limpopo, in the dusty Limpopo, next to a town called Beggarsport. And then, yeah, basically that's who I am. And I love property, I love construction, I love buildings. That's what excites me. Thank you.
Awesome stuff. My apology on that one for Masheko, not Cheko. I'm gonna get it right throughout the interview. So Lesheko, it's great to do what you love, but you know, a lot of people say that passion doesn't pay. And for you guys, is it translating into runs and cents, working within your passion?
Okay, for now, I'd say that this is more of an investment into our communities rather than having it pay us for now. So I would say that eventually the passion will pay, but for now, it's us making sure that the Masedi is up and running. That's the first thing, and making sure that our little ones in rural and semi-rural areas gain something out of us having been educated and having read and having learned from other people in the property sector. So for us, is for them to be able to benefit for now, and then the passion paying will come later.
Awesome stuff. Mashokonolo, your name took me a bit of time to learn. I think it took me like 6 weeks to learn.
And I'm glad
am
you
I
know
the
it
only
now.
person who kind of like maybe finds it difficult? Yeah,
Hey?
yeah. But am I the only one who gets it wrong in terms of, you know, maybe pronouncing it? And I mean, for the first couple of times when we were meeting, I would call you Flo, and then I had to kind of like, how do I learn? And like, finally, I got it right.
So you're not the only person who actually struggles. I think anyone who has never had the name who would struggle. So I think people that tend to get easier Sepedis and Zonas, so for those are easier, and other tribes really, unless you've sort of known someone with the name, And for the other races, it's even worse. So South African races, I think, like the white people in South Africa, they struggle and eventually get it. But when I go overseas, no one ever gets it. So yeah, that's the struggle of my life with my name. So yeah.
Well, we all have the same problem, actually. A lot of people actually, I've been called so many other things. I try by all means to get other people's names. But here I am, I butchered Lesheko's name. On that note, Mahlokonolo, who is Mahlokonolo, and yeah, what do you do?
So I was born and bred in Limpopo in a small town called Grootezaal, right? And then I later went to live in Johannesburg because I studied there. And then after studying, I also started working in Johannesburg, right? But then I've always been passionate about education, and I didn't know how basically to make money out of something. As I mean, you've already said it, that if a person is not paying, then it starts becoming a hobby, right? So yeah, so now we found a way to actually invest in education, but also make, interest out of it. So I think then at least that actually pushes you, at least you know that you're getting something out of it. So that's me in a nutshell. So I, together with Lesheho, founded Masedi, which basically invests in education. And yeah, we got a couple of people to join it using the Stokvel model.
Okay, cool. Do you know that I actually worked and stayed in Grootezaal?
Really?
Oh, wow.
Way in Grootezaal.
It's a small world.
So I was working for the Steinhoff Group, and there's a big warehouse that is now, I think, owned by the company JD Group. And
Yes.
from build, this is maybe 2013, somewhere there, or 14. And from build, we built that up and became fully functional with SAP. And that was maybe about a 2-year project that I spearheaded back in the days when I was still exchanging my time for money.
Sure.
But yeah, those were fun days.
That's amazing, because a lot of people actually do Grootezaal. So you often have to explain where it is because it's quite small. Yeah.
It is. The two of you, where did you guys meet? Because your backgrounds in terms of location is you are two different places. Where did you guys meet?
Do you want to take it, Robert?
Okay, so Lesheho and I met in first year at Wits, geology.
Yeah.
And I think how we met, basically, we I guess we both from like, the dusty rural Limpopo, and then you go to Joburg. Joburg is so big, and you actually just I guess you hear someone speaking your language, you're like, oh, actually there's someone who's like me here. And then I guess that's how we eventually became friends. So we've been friends from first year, studied the same degree, the same honors degree, worked in different places, but we remained friends. And we also started investing together in property, right? So I guess that, made, that's how the friendship remained. So when I was thinking Masedi, I was like, I know someone who can actually deliver this with me, because I'm not looking for this thing to fail, so I knew that if there's one person who's actually going to help this dream be realized, is her. So then that's how we got into Masedi.
Okay. So Lesheko, I am totally different from what Mahlokonolo's behavior is. When she's like in a new place, she's looking for people that she can relate to or speak to her in the same language. I'm like, I want to know the other people. Like me and you South Africans, but no. Can I meet other people there? So that's kind of like me. But that's good. Lesheko, my question to you is that when you guys were, I think when Mahlokonolo came through with this idea, I think as friends, we generally have crazy ideas. There could be a braai idea. It could be like a girl stroke idea. Did you take it seriously the first time?
What a question. Anyway, I did take it seriously because, firstly, from the person it came from, I think we've had other projects whereby she does career guidance and all that. It's about education with her. It's about giving back to disadvantaged kids with regards to education, giving them knowledge. So I knew this was serious. And from that moment on, I started my research on how Stokvel works, on how we can go about it, on how much interest we can charge. So basically it was like, wow, I'm honored to be part of this, and I'm going to make sure it succeeds no matter what.
Okay. So when you guys came together, like what kind of research have you done to what you were trying to do? And the question that I'm asking here is that, you know, I've created businesses and I'm still creating businesses. Many a times what I am thinking in my head, when it becomes like in a better mode, or, you know, it's starting off, eventually what it becomes is something very different, or even a little bit bigger than what I was thinking. So from an idea, when you were thinking about this, and for me, those ideas normally come anytime between 11 p.m. and 2 p.m. and I kind of like just document it. And, you know, when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, was I thinking this? Then I kind of like start feeling scared, you know, I can't do it. But from your perspective, when you started off, as a thought to where you are right now, you know, is it the same thing, so that we can dive into what is it that you guys do?
Parts of it, yes, are still the same, and other parts of it are not, you know, even close to what I actually have thought about it. When we started it, we were just responding to a problem at the time, right? There was a school that was struggling to make ends meet because it was COVID, and they were operating at half capacity, right? So them operating at half capacity meant that, you know, parents were complaining that my child is at home half the time. Why do you want full school fees? You know, so since their school fees is not too expensive, you know, so I mean, all along they've been pushing volumes just so that they actually can, you know, make some margins. So if they are operating at half capacity and parents don't want to pay full, it means they're not going to, you know, meet their financial requirements. So at that time when we started, literally, we wanted a once-off thing to just build this school, one block of classrooms, and then once we're done with that one block, this Stokvel was going to be dissolved, right? So, but then here we are 8 months later, this thing is still running, you know, we have more schools, more projects, and yeah, it's becoming business now. So, yeah.
Okay. So Lesheko, just walk us through, right? I just indicated to us that there was a problem, and now you guys have actually now created Masedi. So what is Masedi, and what problem are you trying to solve, and how are you guys solving it?
Thank you for that, Taurai. Masedi is basically an education Stokvel, I'd say. So what we basically do is we assist schools in, the initial concept, part of the initial concept was that we were going to have our own school at some point, and we wanted to push that earlier than other people in the other investors would want to actually be part of that school project. So that was the initial plan, to help the school that was struggling, and then eventually we'll build our own school. But as we came with throughout the months, as the Stokvel grew, we realized that actually let us learn more about schools rather than starting our own. So we decided that we are going to assist rural schools grow and have the kind of education that other private schools would have in the cities, like your Kiros, your St. Mary's, your St. Stephen's. So we're going to sort of upgrade these schools, assist them in upgrading them, so that they could have a similar standard to what other schools in more modernized areas would have. So that's basically what we're doing currently.
Okay. When you're talking about assisting the school, so just walk us through. I think I'm going to go to Maslogonelo on this question here. And, you know, when we think the idea of a school, I think for many people, they just think there's a government school or there's a private school, right? And if it's private, hey, they've got money. so they can run it on their own. And if it is a government school, hey, I'm paying taxes, so it's a government problem. It's not my problem. But it sounds like there's a gray area here, and you guys are playing within that gray area in the rural areas. But what is it that you're solving when you're saying you're assisting a school? So give us a real example of your latest projects on what was the problem, how did you guys solve it, and what was the benefit to Masedi? Because I'm sure there is a benefit somewhere, right? It's not just, are you guys running an NGO?
No, it's not. No. So, I guess when you're thinking of a private school, you think, they have the money, but not all private schools have money. Just like, when people start businesses and they don't necessarily have a lot of money. Schools in townships and rural areas usually were started by people that are passionate about education. And those people often, it's not like they have a lot of money. So it could be someone going on pension and they take their pension money to build a school because they see a need. So because they don't necessarily have a lot of money, the infrastructure is not that much appealing, and then for that, obviously they're forced to, charge little money because, parents do great things. So now you see them, they can't be competitive or they can't compete with the schools in town because the schools in town, sometimes they're funded by companies and other people. So they have better infrastructure. So really for us is to say, there is a demand for private education, especially now with the government, kids in a lot of rural schools, kids don't go to school every day simply because the school cannot accommodate all of them. So they would accommodate half given time. So then by us improving the infrastructure, we're trying to make the school, more appealing to an average person, someone who doesn't necessarily have a lot of money to take kids to their kids to town, but still wants a private education. And then so they can take their kids to those schools. Also, those schools sometimes it's not only infrastructure, but also strategy, business strategy, how do we improve your marketing so that people can actually even know that you exist? What other things can we actually add to your school? Could it be that you need a crash? Because, once parents send their kids from crash, then they trust the school to groom the child until maybe grade 7. Could it be that you need aftercare facilities, and all those other things? So basically it's just to work with the school, I guess, across the entire value chain of a school to basically say, how can you be more competitive? How can you compete with the schools in town? So that I guess you can grow your school. Yeah.
Yeah. Besheko, when you guys are approaching the school owners, right? I would almost want to think that, if I had a school and you guys are approaching me and you're saying you can help me with this, I think the first thing that comes into my mind is these people that are coming from town, or these people that are young, or these people that have money, they want to come and tell me what to do. And maybe there might be some resistance, I don't know. But with your guys' clients that you have met so far, the ones that you've worked with, engaging with them on first instances, is it something that is well received? They're happy to actually, say, hey, I have a problem and these are my problems. I understand how you guys can help me. Please do help me. Or you actually find it that maybe it's a little bit more difficult to just have that first engagement with them so that you can help them. Because this is my baby. I've built this and I've built it with my resources so far. And if you're coming with money, we all know, people already think, so what do you want? So how's been that I see where your guy's heart is, but I'm also thinking in terms of the guy who's also on the receiving side. With the people that you guys have worked with so far, how have they received this?
I think we've met two kinds of people in schools. So the first one would be the one that would say, wow, this is a brilliant idea. Actually, we've been struggling to meet this particular school that requested assistance. So you'd have those kind of schools that say, you're actually coming on board, not just for the money, but also for the strategic advice. Because when we market the Masedi group, we say, we are not just coming with money to assist the school, or rather to improve the school. But we are bringing a lot of skills. Our team is a team of more than 50 people currently. So there's a lot of skills there. There's engineers, there's scientists, there's doctors, you name it. So, I mean, we bring a lot of people with strategic skills that can actually help the school. So when we come to the school, that's how we market ourselves. And then we've also met those who feel like, this team is coming to take over, and also they are going to want money out of us. So we have both kinds of schools, but I think the majority of those that we've approached so far are receiving us very well. So I think we're in the right direction.
Awesome. That's really good.
Oh, sorry, can I add to that? I think in the beginning it was a bit hard because this is like people are not familiar with it. But I think so far with the projects that we've worked on, we use them as a reference, and I guess the word of mouth is also starting to get out there, right? Someone will be like, oh, actually, these people have helped our school. You know, now we've increased our capacity, we have more learners, and etc. So we're also starting to get people that I would call and be like, I've heard about you guys. Can we schedule a meeting? You know, or so. So yeah, but there still is resistance, and I guess that is business, right? Not everyone will be open to it, and it's okay. Absolutely.
The reverse of your business is the Stokvel part, you know. So I understand very much around, you know, your guys' cause, your mission. I think your mission is to help within the communities where resources are not there, right? And where the skill is not there, and you guys are saying, hey, we are available, we can do this. But the reverse of your business is also challenging, because you're now bringing in, or should I say, traditionally Stokvels are meant for people to put in money and they get a reward out of that. But with having a conversation with you guys right now, I'm getting a sense that it's not just a Stokvel. There's a little bit more that you guys demand in terms of what you're putting onto the table. It's not just your money. Now there's these skills that you guys are talking about. So just walk me through in terms of your recruitment process. If anyone wants to join, do they join? Are they just putting in money? What about me who doesn't have a skill, you know? But what about the guy who's a doctor? Or what about the guy who's an engineer, structural engineer? What's your requirements from, you know, different types of people?
I'll take that.
Want to take that?
Okay,
cool.
Okay, yeah. I think we don't have requirements per se, as long as you are able to join the Stokvel. But mainly, this is a social entrepreneurship type of society, I would say. So what we need from you is that you must at least have a sort of some passion for education. We're trying to help schools here. So at least let's have one common goal, which is assisting building up our communities in terms of making sure the schools are up to par with the other school standards. So I think for me, it will be someone who loves education, someone who wants to see development in the rural areas. You don't have to be an engineer. You can be selling tomatoes on the street corner, that's okay, as long as you are able to meet your financial obligations in terms of the Stokvel. But what's important, have some sort of passion to develop communities, to develop the young kids that we are bringing up in these rural and semi-rural areas. So that's, for me, the requirement, basically.
And I also think, besides the skill, a lot of people are age group, or a lot of investors are somewhat a parent, right? And as a parent, you have a child that's going to school. So you've seen great things that maybe the school that your child goes to are doing, or the school that your niece, you know, goes to are doing. So those things are also valuable, really. You might not be an engineer where you're gonna come and inspect the building, but you've probably seen that actually this is what they do with their marketing, and I liked it. You know, this is how they do it with their admin. They communicate maybe every Friday or every Thursday, and you know, it makes me feel at ease. So maybe this is something that the school could implement, you know. So yeah, so this, I guess, there's skill and there's also experience and knowledge, and those things are available as well.
One of my boys, his name is Justin Hess. I'm speaking to you guys from a point of passion, because this is one of my passions as well. But at a point, I was I was trying to do the same thing. And, I've shared with you before, Masha, on all of that. This is something that I'm trying to do. And I spoke to one of my boys called Justin, and he said to me, TJ, and the reason why I approached him is because I know that for the past around about 13 years, he literally took in a community in the rural areas. And him and some of his mates, they have been uplifting that community. And I was saying to him, dude, I want to go and build a school. And he was saying to me, but why do you want to go and build a school? And I was saying, well, education is power. And they said to me, but what about maybe in the community they need a borehole, not a school?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And he says, well, maybe the problem is not even the school. Maybe it's about just getting teachers there. So maybe you need a road.
Yeah.
So it made me to think a little bit. And he pushed me in a corner and he said to me, maybe you don't need a school. Maybe you need to find to help a particular community, and you can walk with them on the journey of their success in that community. And maybe within the season, it's a creche that they need. And in 2 years from now, maybe it's a church. And in four years from now, maybe it's a school, a preschool. And it goes on until maybe it's now about a business in a community. So if you're solving those problems for them, alongside them, and this was, like one of my greatest takeaway with him. And he says, you don't just come in and plug in stuff. You want them to take ownership. Because if they take ownership, you don't need to bring in resources to build. You might need to bring the bricks and mortar, but actually the resources to build can be people within that community. They will take ownership. And that infrastructure will work. So one of his infrastructure that he's got, literally that building works as a school, as a clinic, as a church over the weekend. And the people are proud of it. The chief is proud of it, So with that, I was like, oh, I think I need to find a bigger problem here. The school is not really where the problem is, And I'm sharing this with you guys because I'm actually happy to connect you with him, because with where he is sitting, he hasn't gone to build many schools. He's just focused on one community. And within that community, the journey that they have taken in is growing that neighborhood. So it's people that you're building over a long period of time. But if you have to give them ownership, they start running with it. It gives you power to walk away from that community into another community because there's ownership now, right? But I want to come back to Masedi. So if I come in, I'm an outsider, and I raise my hand, I want to come in and contribute. And does it mean that I can only contribute monetary, or I can also contribute in skills? You guys says it's either one or the other. And if I'm saying that I'm contributing skills, so is it also voluntary, or do I then get paid for my services?
Yeah. So I think our entry point, everything has an entry point. So our entry point is an investment. Because we believe that where your money is, you will make sure that you sort it out. I always say, sometimes I guess people, it might seem like someone is not passionate about something simply because, it's not where their money is at. So we believe that if your money is in this thing, you're going to make sure that you work, because if you don't work, we lose, you're also going to lose. So that's an entry point, and then a skill later. In terms of skills, people, you for now we give it on a voluntary basis because we're really just starting, and this is still early days. Eventually, I guess we're gonna start paying for it. So now, how we give it on a voluntary basis, it could be that you give it project by project, or you become fully involved with the school. So when we when we contract a school to say we're going to walk a journey with you, a journey of transformation, we also request that we want to sit on the board of the school.
Right.
Because, you know, if y'all are not making money, we should get those red flags very early and act. You know, we don't want 10 months later for you guys to come back and be like, by the way, we can't pay you because we haven't been making money for the past 6 months. You know, so we need to know that very early, and then we know what to do. So when you contract a school, we bring at least 2 people on board, or to be part of the board of the school. So the board of the school actually changes, and those 2 people are basically our eyes and ears on what's happening. But what we also bring them on is they need to help the school, right? For example, one of the school that we're working on wants to improve roll call, right? And I guess one of the things they had to do is basically to draft some marketing strategy that the school is going to implement, you know, in trying to attract the market. So those are like some of the functions of that person in this particular board. So those are the skills that we need. How we get the skill? Someone could put their hands out there, or we could tell people to be like, in this particular skill, guys, we need someone with a strong finance background. We need someone with a marketing background, you know, or we need someone who understands, you know, legal. And then people will put their hands up. But generally, I think education is something that is very close to a lot of people's hearts, which is why I think people like you thought they want to build a school. And I think it's a lot of people think until you actually get into a school, like, actually, no, I will leave this one, you know, it has its own people. So I think because it's very close to a lot of people's hearts, and a lot of people think we really, really need to work on this country's education, we don't struggle to get someone who wants to sit on the board. We actually have to, like, you know, I guess choose at the end of it to be like, oh, there's 5 people that put their names up, but this school needs XYZ, so we'll go with, you know, number 1 and number 2. Unfortunately, for 3, 4, 5, we're going to have to decline, you know, them. So yeah, that's how it's going.
Okay, awesome stuff. This really sounds like your guys' journey so far really sounds like it's not just about money. There's a bigger cost to it. And the mission, look, I am totally bought into that mission. I really like it. So well done to the 2 of you. But you speak of other people that are also within the Stokvel. So from a leadership perspective, how does that work? And the reason why I'm asking that is, how do you also then go through and say, this is the right school, you know? Because you have people that are contributing. How involved are they with the leadership? How is that dynamics works between the 2 of you in the group to a project?
So we have about more than 50 people that we are working with. So what happens is that we sort of have an incentive-based type of encouragement. So what happens is that now and then we'd say, we are going to finish with the current project in 4 months. We need a new investment, so we need a new school. So if you come up with a school, there's a price for it. If the school signs with us, obviously, then there is a price for it. So that's how we basically encourage the members to bring on board the business. But it's not easy. So, and then also we have our own drive. Maybe a member would say, I know a school, my child goes to the school, they lack sporting facilities, or they might need a borehole. And then that's how basically the members get involved into us approaching certain schools. So it's a collective effort. It's not us as the leadership saying, no, we're going to that school, we're going to that one. It's everyone involved saying, okay, we have this school and that school. This one needs what, this one needs what. How quickly can we assist which school? That's how basically we choose our project. And also the need for the school, like this particular school that we are going to work on from May. This school needs to improve their roll call for the next year. They also need an admin block, you know, things like that. So we look at the need. If your need is much urgent than the other school, obviously we'll prioritize you. And then the members get to also be involved in that decision making. It's not just us. We present to them that we are thinking of doing this. And then they would say, no, we don't think that is right. We think that is right. Like, for example, when we started, we also had the vision of having our own school as Masedi. However, the members felt like we don't have enough experience as a team. So you see, it's not just us giving them orders as investors. It's us saying, hang on, this is your money. So let us work the journey together and make decisions together. Obviously, it boils down to the executive team, but they do make a contribution, a lot of contribution towards which schools and how we choose schools.
Great stuff. As an investor or as a contributor, so today I start contributing. What is your guys' entry level contribution if I'm to join in today?
So we have an initial registration fee, I guess we're going to call it administration fee of like 1,000 rand, right? And the monthly contribution is 1,000. Our minimum investment period starts from 18 months because, you know, with a school is big project, these things are a lot of money. So the 1,000 rand is, you still get interest on it. However, if you decide to pull up before 18 months, that's what we're going to charge you. You know, so we reserve that money because the thing is, when you take on a project from a school, you sort of use the number of members to sort of plan how long it's going to take you to deliver that project. So if we have 50 members, we know that at any given time, this is how much we're going to take. So therefore, it'll take you 3 months or 6 months or 7 months to complete this project. So if you're going to pull out, it means then, you know, you're messing up with our plans. So the least we can do is at least charge you for that money. And again, remember, we give the money to school. So we don't have this money here with us. So if you pull out and you want your money now, we have to find that money somewhere. So the 1,000 rand is really for those damages and interest we might have to pay somewhere else. Yeah. But if you pull out after 18 months, you get all your money plus your registration fee and all the interest on it.
Amazing. Just walk me through your guys' maybe last project that you did from the beginning to the end. What was the problem that you guys solved? It's really up to you guys if you want to mention the name of the school or not. That's okay. How much did go into that project, and your investors, how much money or returns are they getting? What is the big picture of that particular project? Are you still in that project or you're long out? That kind of thing.
Cool. Nishal, do you want to take it?
Okay, should I be mentioning names or let's?
You can, it's fine. I think they're fine.
Okay, we've invested in a school called Limpopo Christian School. This is a school in rural Limpopo. Again, like I said to you, we try to upgrade our rural schools into better schools. We're hoping to have a Curo like in one of the schools, hopefully. So this school's problem was that, as Mafanole indicated earlier, that the school was struggling with sort of finances, and basically they were struggling to get roofing for one of the blocks they had built already in order to get more learners so that they could be social distancing during COVID. So we basically came in, our initial plan was to invest like 55,000 rands. That money was only going to go to that roofing that they had requested. However, as the project continued, we felt like that's not impact enough, you know. The school still lacks a lot of facilities because currently they are ending, their last grade is grade 9. They would love to grow into the school into having grade 12. So we felt like just a 3-block roofing of classrooms is not enough. So we decided, let us get them more blocks as they are needed so that all the learners could be at school all the time with the required social distancing. So basically all the learners now are going to be back because there's enough classrooms. We've basically roofed the 3-block classrooms. And then we have 2 other blocks. The other one has 4 classrooms. The other one has 3 classrooms. So all in all, it's 7, basically 10 classrooms that we've managed to build in this particular school. So that's our current project. We are still finalizing the project. They've painted. So now they're doing basically the final touches, and then we are going to move on to the next school. However, strategically, we are still part of this particular school because it's the first baby. They believed in the dream and they gave us an opportunity. So I think it's up to us to continue with them. And hopefully, we are hoping that when they eventually have grade 12, we are going to make sure that this grade 12 becomes one of the best in Limpopo, hopefully, so that other people could bring their kids to the school. So that's the project that we currently working on.
How much money, how much funding did you guys put in Sepedi?
So we've put in about 700,000 into the project. So that's basically money to date that we've put in.
Right. And having said that, that's a lot of money. So, you know, the people invested into that, and what return are they going to get?
So our returns are quite standard, in that an investor get about 11% based on their initial investment. So I guess if you invested 50,000, is 11% of 50,000 per annum. That's what you're getting out. Yeah.
Yeah. But do you guarantee that 11%, or obviously it's based on this particular project that you've got, as and when it starts working, and you know the contributors themselves, they can see that at the moment you can't be expecting 11% because clearly you can see we're still building, right? How does that
it's sort of guaranteed. So when we contract a school, we basically try to do activities that will generate income in the next coming months, right? So if you look at this school, it was operating at half capacity. So us building an extra class, it means they are able to accommodate more kids, meaning they're able to make more school fees so they can pay us back, right? So that's basically been doing it. In the next school, they want to increase roll call, but we thought the first thing to build will probably be a crash, right? Because if you think of a crash, a parent can bring their child anytime. I can decide to take my child to crash tomorrow or to pull them out of crash, you know, so it's a quick one. And I think once parents see a beautiful crash or something, I can decide to put out my child from another crash to another crash, you know, in 1 year. It's not like grade 10 where it has to start at the beginning of the year. So they wanted a block for a grade 10 and a crash. And we're like, if we build a crash by August, we're done. This can actually improve the roll call if we do the marketing right. And we'll reserve the block for grade 10 to be ended in December, so that then that can start in January and you guys can start paying back in January. So that's how we streamline the different activities or other milestones for every school. So it's about what's an agent need and what can make cash quick.
What fascinates me about your model is that there's a bit of passion in it. You're solving social issues, and you're solving some of the greatest problems that we have in the world. But you're doing it alongside people who are wanting to do that, which is all the contributors in the Stokvel. But you're not leaving money on the table as an NGO. What you're saying here is, I can partner up with you, but I want to sit on your board to make sure that I don't lose this money. And with that, that's great accountability. I was buying a business the other day, and then someone says to me, I'm too demanding to have one of my directors on this board. And I was like, it's my money. And you guys are pushing in for two board members, which is awesome, right? Because that's more power in terms of the direction on how the money is going to be utilized and how you guys are working it. Because you do have an accountability where you need to give 11%, whatever the percent is, it doesn't really matter there. But the point is that the return that you've promised your people needs to be achieved, and you are bulletproofing that. So I don't know how best I can say high five to you guys, but that is amazing.
Thank you.
But over and above that, you are now creating a functioning business. But if I look at it on the other side of the individual who is the Tsepo's owner, the school that we're talking about, you have removed the red tape of that individual to go to the various banks and say, please could I have, please could I have, please could I have, and yet the roof is falling off. And those that are sitting in the banks, you know, these days I talk nonsense about the banks. It's as if I never worked at a bank. But that's just the reality of it. They're looking at the numbers, but they're not seeing the cause. You know, and in my view, growing up, banking was like that. They looked into such kind of things, and they looked at the individual and say, we can help you on that. But these days, kind of like looks like it's about numbers. There's lesser banks that are looking at who is Mastrokonolo. Oh, okay, fine. Maybe we can help it, but there is no track record. But they've already started, so maybe we can give them maybe of the 700, let's do 100 first. And I think this is the gap that you guys are coming in to solve. And like a total item, I totally love it.
Thank you.
In closing, where is Masedi going? Your guys' mission is quite big. I don't know if you know that.
It is. Sure.
It's overwhelming.
We didn't realize.
It does. It overwhelms us too, right? Where is this going? I think investors still think we need a high quality, affordable education in rural areas and in townships, because we still have a lot of people there. And sometimes you have people that are doing quite well that I can actually afford this education. So that's, I guess the end goal. But I guess this is a way of us learning about schools, what to do and what not to do, what we're going to bring into our schools and what we're not going to bring into our schools. But we'd like to penetrate the township market to basically build our schools there. What type of school we haven't figured out. I mean, you one day mentioned the baby hotel, and I saw the ideas of the show. We're like, we'll think about it, because people actually like it. But we don't know.
Don't mind me.
But whatever we're going to bring, we want it to be different, right? We want to be different to what the current system is offering. Otherwise, we're not solving the problem here. There's a lot of loopholes within the education system. And I guess ours is to make sure that we close some of those loopholes, and I guess we deliver a better product, basically. So that's where Masedi is going. We have a view of what that looks like, but we don't have like a final product of this is it. And I guess, as you said, the things change all the time. Could be that that's what we want, and we eventually probably end up building a hospital. We don't know. We'll figure out that when we get there. It's about what the market wants, and we'll deliver what the market wants.
Esheko, closing comments from your side before I close off.
I think where I see Masedi going is initially we didn't know how big this is going to be, and it's quite scary how it has turned out, but I think I'm up for the challenge. The team is up for the challenge. But what I would love to see is us bringing the fourth industrial revolution into our schools, into the schools that we are partnering with as Masedi. I would like to see us bringing in a different model to what South Africa offers in general. So as part of what we'll be bringing is thinking into the future and partnering with those schools to make sure that they equip the children to be part of the future, to solve problems that currently we are unable to solve because we are not advanced yet. So that is where I see Masedi going.
One of my mentors says to me that if you're not scared, you're not growing. So you're in the right place. You're in the right place. And the second thing he says, if you're not failing, then there is no growth. So I embrace those two things all the time. I used to be scared back in the days around failing, around just being scared and like, can I do this? And these days, I just walk in that scare. I walk in the fear. That's me. How can one join Masedi?
So we are available on Stokvel. So we use Stokvel as our platform because really it makes the whole admin very easy. So you log on to Stokvel, you register yourself, and you search for Masedi project, and we will approve you.
How do I get?
If you're not familiar with Stokvel, you can follow us on Facebook, and we'll show you how to do it. You can also send us an email on masedi@gmail.com. and then we will respond to you. masediprojects@gmail.com.
Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the two ladies from Masedi. They are championing this cause here. If you are wanting to register up with them, their details are in the description. Don't type in interested. No, don't do that. In the description will be their details on how you can join their cause. I think it's a great cause. I like it. Viva to you guys, and well done so far on your journey. I think the next thing that I'd like to do is, at some point, if I'm in Limpopo, just pass by this Tsepo school and we can really showcase what it's like, what the work has been like, so that, people that think that it can be done and they're sitting in their own little corners, they can see that you guys have achieved this and someone else can be doing something else somewhere else. They all don't have to come and join you. It's great to come and join you guys, but hey, what if all of us are just doing amazing things like what you guys are doing now? We'll be in a different place altogether.
Cool.
I like that idea, actually. One brick at a time, everywhere else, in every community.
That's it. So, ladies and gentlemen, you had it. Lesheko, thanks a lot for joining us. And we had lots of technical problems from Shokonolo, but we still managed to record. Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Cool. Bye-bye.